Okay, what are we doing here, hon?
I have been waiting a year for this. This time last year, we did our first winter compost pile, and it didn't actually work out the way I planned or hoped. It went cold, it never got up to heat. So this year, we have basically the same materials, we got tons of browns and almost no greens. So watched a lot of videos, done a few more compost piles, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, as you can see, we got a ton of browns, we got leaves, scraps from the garden that have been sitting here for quite a while, and we are going to build a pile and then just follow it along and bring you guys along too. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, we got it done. Took about what, hour and a half? It was a pretty good session there, but nice big pile. So what I did was I've added more water than I've ever added to a pile. Tons of carbon in this pile. So I want to see how much is too much. So this has got to be borderline too much. The other thing I added was a whole bunch of soil from the last compost pile that the roots got into. I just took all the roots in the compost and then layered it, 3 layers of it, lower, middle, and then higher. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be back in a couple days. It might be a little whiter when we come back to have a look. So anyways, awesome.
This chart shows the temps that Jason recorded from day 9 to 29. We are missing the first 8 days.
Okay, day 10. Because of the winter storm that we had temperatures down to, what was it, minus 19 with the wind chill. That's, I think, -4 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that area. We weren't actually able to get out here, but first observations is it has dropped a bit. Not a ton, but it has dropped. The temperature right now is just above maybe 115 or so. So in the last 10 days, your guys' guess is as good as mine to how high it got. Yesterday it was 120. I came out and had a look at it, but I hadn't seen a temp for the last at least 8 days. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it. Went to my favorite coffee shop, got a few hundred pounds of coffee. This stuff is uber wet, so I'm not going to add any moisture to this at all. And then we'll see if the temperature comes up, if it plateaus, if it drops right off. But yeah, we'll just we'll see how it goes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's do it.
If there's any steam, we might get some steam there.
Okay.
You think?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems fine.
Who doesn't like steam?
Nobody
Okay.
doesn't like steam.
We'll get on this.
Yeah.
Eh. Coffee? Got coffee? We got coffee. Coffee in there? Yeah, I'm just gonna balance it out with a little sawdust. Give that a try.
I was just gonna ask how you were gonna keep it from going too hot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing though, you know, how much water I added. How dry that material is. Like I can feel it through my gloves. It's damp, but there's no way I'm gonna squeeze any water out of there at all. But last year I killed the pile by adding way too much water to it. It was the pumpkin leaf pile last year, and it was up quite warm, and I added way too much water. And it was, what else did I add? Oh, I was diluting alfalfa pellets because I wanted the nitrogen from the alfalfa, but it ended up working the total other way. It totally killed it. which turned out great because all the worms came in and turned out to be a great worm bin. But I want to see if I can keep this one hot. So
Yeah.
see how it goes.
Okay.
I got something in my eye.
You really do.
Okay. All right. It's like 20 minutes or so. Definitely got its girth back. Added a couple 300 pounds of coffee to it, and then just some sawdust from a buddy that makes cutting boards. So super happy with it. I could tell it went through thermophilic just by the smell of it. Definitely over 120 degrees, and it was hot all the way through. Couple pockets of maybe potentially anaerobic, but not bad at all. I'm just gonna leave this leaf litter down here, but you can see it's, I don't know if you're picking up steam, but there's steam all the way. It's nice and warm all the way through. So yeah, just gonna cover this up. I'll come back maybe tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, next day, get a few temps for you guys, and then we'll plan on flipping it in a few days. So hopefully the temps come up. If they don't, not a big issue, but I think it was pretty cool to add that much water and see that it wasn't soaked in the middle, like it wasn't sodden or anything like that. The bacteria really enjoyed it. And backing off on the water, I think, is a big key for me anyways, just to see from last year's experience to this year. So really didn't add any moisture other than the coffee grounds. And yeah, see you guys in a couple days. All right, so it's been 6 days. It's January 2nd. Happy New Year. And as you can see, the temps came up above 121, and they've kind of stayed there. And today it was just above 130-ish or so. So what I should be doing is leaving it and see if the temperature keeps coming up. But it's coming up so small increments on a daily basis that I'm gonna go ahead and flip it. I got a busy week, and yeah, so I'll get in there. Last time added no additional water aside from the coffee grounds, and we'll see how dry it is in there. I do have water available, but I'm going to see if the stuff on the outside is quite wet. I'm going to try not to add any water again this time. So let's get to it. There should be some steam. All right, smells great. Little on the dry side. Oh, I am getting some drops there. Yeah, it feels dry and it looks dry, but it definitely is moist. So I don't think I'm gonna add any water again. I mean, it might get drier as I go down, but I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, it smells great, and it's starting to turn. I'm really glad I added that the sawdust when I added the wet coffee grounds. So yeah, get busy here. I have no idea if doing this helps. I've never seen it done, but it feels intuitive to just try to break it up as much as possible. I don't know. Warm, beautiful. Smells really good. Yeah, so I just did temps. At the bottom was 100. Which makes sense. And then maybe 6 inches up from that, it was 120. And then, as you guys saw in the middle of the pile, it was just over 130. So the moisture feels good all the way through. Getting one drop coming out of there, or more than one drop. So I'm really glad I didn't add any water. So. All right, 20 minutes. A little bit of mucking around, but all good. So yeah, it was really good temperature all the way through. Good moisture too. I think one thing I noticed flipping this is the top. It had, I don't know if it's the thermophilic bacteria that makes it look ashen. It's like a white substance on there. That I think last year is what caught me out. I saw all the white bacteria or fungi or whatever it was. Pretty sure it was bacteria, and I assumed that it was dry without actually doing the squeeze test. So last year when I flipped it, I added water all the way up, and this year I was squeeze testing all the way through, and as the farther I got down, the more moist it got, which is kind of, it makes sense. So now all the most moist stuff is on the top, and that will infiltrate the pile going down. So it'll be interesting to see, one, what the temperatures do over the next 7 days, and two, when I flip it the next time, what the moisture content is. I bet you it's going to be, again, a lot of looking quite dry and even feeling a bit dry on top, but then as I go down, it'll get more and more moist. So that's something cool I think I learned this time. We'll just have to see how this pile goes, but couldn't be happier. Just over 2 weeks old. It's been thermophilic for over 121 degrees, which kills the weed seeds and pathogen, for over, I think, 7-10 days. I'll have to check it and let you guys know, but yeah, I'll try to get back the next few days and get some temps. It'd be interesting to see if it actually got up to like 140-ish or something. Yeah, so pile looks great. It looks really consistent. A few bigger things, but most of the stuff is quite fine material. So see you guys. We'll see you right away. Awesome. Cheers. January 8th, day 23. Let's have a look. 149-ish. Couple worms in the back, but yeah, I'm gonna flip it. It's just starting to come down. So yeah, we'll see what we got. Tons of water. All right, just over 15 minutes. To say I'm happy with this pile is an understatement. It's awesome. I mean, the one common theme I can think back to last year is it looked dry the whole way through, but doing the squeeze test, if anything, there's still too much water in that pile, and I would have been pouring water on there. So, you know, I think it has a lot to do with our climate here in the winter. If you're in a drier climate, you definitely probably need to add water at some point, but it just comes down to that squeeze test. If you get your hands in there and squeeze it, you'll be able to get a really good feel for how much moisture is in there. Yeah, there's not much difference between this pile. Last year's pile, I look back, it had coffee in it, it had bokashi in it. Same things, basically mostly leaves and very little carbon, but this one has just stayed, well, thermophilic, coming up on 2 weeks now. So awesome. Above 121 is going to kill off a lot of the pathogens and the weed seeds in there, and yeah, we'll just keep monitoring it, and I'll try to get over here this week and get some temps, and then we'll see where we're at next week. Awesome. Okay, January 14th, day 29. We'll get in there and have a look. I did build the compost bay bottom just out of a pallet, try to air prune those roots from coming up. So now all three have the same kind of system. So anyways, we'll get in, have a temp, and go from there. Smells really good. No moisture coming out. It looks a lot drier, but it feels damp to the touch. So again, just winter with the winter composting, I think I'm gonna hold off on the water. So we'll see. Smells really good. See, much more water down. Interesting. There's a 140 at the bottom, so 10-degree temperature change, which is nice. Smells good. And a couple drops coming out, which is kind of perfect, I think. They say if 1 or 2 drops come out, that's kind of the perfect consistency. So I'm really glad I didn't add any water, just based on the dryness of the top, because yeah, really good. Really moist. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely starting to break down. One thing I noticed is all the coffee filters that I put in with the coffee grounds. Most of them have gone. I think the only remaining ones are the ones that are made out of plastics. But yeah, you can tell it hasn't lost much of its mass. I mean, obviously with the new bottom, it brought it up 4 inches, but there hasn't been a huge loss of mass, which is a good sign, I think. And yeah, I just keep coming back to the same thing. The squeeze test and the smell test, I think, are kind of like the 2 most important things that I've learned this time around. So, okay, we have come to the end of part 1. It's been a month, pretty much exactly, since I started this, and yeah, flipped it 4 times in the month, once a week, and kept the temperatures, which you guys have seen. So really excited about the pile, and one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to just kind of cut the video as opposed to follow it all the way along is to get your guys' feedback. I would be really interested to know what you guys think. So yeah, I think the 2 big things that's different from last year is way less water through the process of flipping. I never did add any water when I flipped, and doing the squeeze test was probably the biggest thing for that, because it looked dry, some parts were dry, but overall, as I was squeeze testing, it was definitely on the wetter side than the drier side. So yeah, last year I think I killed it with diluted alfalfa pellets. This year, I'm glad I didn't do that. Secondly, I think flipping it really helped the aeration. Definitely saw bumps in the temperatures a couple days after I flipped it. And to keep a winter compost pile thermophilic for over 3 weeks, or around that, I think is pretty good. So, so yeah, if you guys have any, you know, thoughts, questions, objections, it'd be great to hear. So.
Well done, you.
Yeah, I'm pretty pretty stoked about this pile.
Yeah.
Pretty stoked. I mean, we learned a lot. It was cool to go back and watch the video from the videos from last year, and just kind of see the differences. And you know, watching YouTube videos have been very helpful, and making comments on the YouTube videos have been great because the guys that I follow always get back. So yeah, it's been great. It's been great. So speaking of which, there's two guys that I really want to thank for this. Nick from the Garden, he's a great guy over in the UK, and he's just got an allotment. He's super into composting and all sorts of other stuff, and he put me onto this mic at Sow Grow Eat, and both of them use these tiny things called derelicts, something like that. It's kind of lost in translation, but very, very small compost units. So if you were looking to start a compost, you could start with something like this. And Mike's actually kept one of his derelicts, thermophilic, for weeks, which is mind-blowing to me. So yeah, Mike is a wicked smart guy, and Nick's just full of energy. So we'll post a couple of their videos up at the end screen, and please go check them out. And yeah, both of you guys, thanks a million. It's been great learning from you. So yeah, we'll do another video of this, updating it, and then phase 2, which will be maybe a little bit of vermicomposting, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Forgot to put my gloves on. Stay awesome, guys. Epic. Absolutely epic. It was so good all the way through. And the sun was going down, like there's gonna be some massive like glory shots. Nice. I love you.